Hello folks, how you doing? And welcome to our channel. So this is my wrap up for August and September. So I'm doing 2 months for the price of one. It's now the 1st of October when I'm filming this. Sorry for not doing, God, was it August wrap up? It's just at the time my father-in-law was in hospital and there was a lot going on, so I didn't really have the time to do it and I didn't want to push it too much with content. So I thought, you know what? Nothing is that important when I have to push myself to overproduce content, okay, at the time when something is happening that is upsetting. So here we go. So I'm going to start in August and I'm going to work my way to September. There is one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, 9 books. I'm aware that some people read that in a month, but anyway, I think I've done quite well actually looking at the size of some of these. So, the first book I read in August was Catherine by Anya Seton, and this was a gift from one of our lovely followers. And I think it's been on my shelf since last spring, summer. There's a story behind this. I first got this book last year. We went to Tattershall Castle in Lincolnshire. And you know, like they have second-hand bookshops in these, like, I think it's a National Trust place. Anyway, I saw it, I never heard of it, and I was drawn to it. And I got it, and I took it home, and it was on my shelf a while, and I came to read it, and the print in it was very different to this. It was the same book, but a different copy. And my eyes just couldn't adjust to the print, and I just couldn't. I literally read the first paragraph, and there was something with it I just couldn't gel with it. So I gave the book up to the charity pile. The day after it had gone, this arrived. And when it arrived, I was like, I'm sure I've just had that book. So I checked it and it was the same book. And I checked it and it is a very different print to the other one. And I thought, I'm obviously meant to read it. So I sat with it and I read it. And I'm so glad that I did because it's a fascinating story. I'd heard of Catherine Swynford and John O'Gaunt. I had heard of them, but I didn't really know their story. And when I saw about the Lincolnshire connection, because currently we live in Lincolnshire, I was so fascinated. Um, Very well written, very interesting, leaves you feeling changed once you've finished it. Yes, and then obviously went and did the vlog, and then I did the challenge on my other channel. So I really, really enjoyed it. If you like historical fiction, you'll love this. Because it's a book of its time, there are bits of it that can be hard to understand and the writing technique. But I think that's just because of how we read now is very differently to how we write now is very differently to how we wrote then. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. I think that could be possibly the best book of August or one of the best books of August. Anyway. I then went on to this, which is the final book in the Her Majesty's Royal Coven series. And this is by Juno Dawson and it's Human Rights. So this is the final book that wraps up all three books. I really enjoyed it. I really loved it. I will not go into what this story is about because obviously it's a third book. And if you've not read one and two, I don't want to ruin the series for you. But if you've read one and two and you're nervous about reading the third one, because the first book, she left it on one of the biggest cliffhangers I have ever known in a book. When she finished the first book, it was like, I have never known a cliffhanger like it. And so many people have said it that I can understand why you think if this is a third book, what if she does something crazy like that? And we feel like there's nothing coming. Everything is wrapped up, but it is left in a way that if she wanted to, she could come back with this series at a later date. But it is finalized, if that makes sense. But it is left in a way that there is possibilities. There is possibilities, but I loved it. I really loved it. Another one that I highly recommend. Right. We then go on to the next book, which was this one entitled The Rise and Fall of the House of York by Andrew Lowney. I did a reading vlog on this, so I'm only going to literally skim this. I struggled. I believe every word he says. I think it's well written. It goes into things very deeply. I think my problem isn't the book, isn't the author, isn't the writing. It's the two characters on the front. Um, and the deep, dark, dangerous lives that they have lived, the things that they have done, the things that they have said, and the fact that this also opens a big can of worms as to why the UK royal family have let this situation go to the lengths that it has. And I think I've seen a podcast with him. No, he says it. No, he says it in this as well, where he basically says that Andrew has told people, the late Queen and now Charles, etc., that if they come down on him like a ton of bricks, basically bring him into accountability, he will let rip the royal family secrets. You have to ask yourself, what are those secrets to a point where they still let this man and this woman do what they do at the levels that they do? Um, also as well the fact that Elizabeth II covered for him, held space for him, awarded him, allowed him, enabled him to become an abuser on every level. So that's that book anyway. It's interesting. I will say it's one that I think you've got to be in a right space of right mind space for as well. I wouldn't read that book if you're feeling fragile or low or tired. And if you're really not called to it, don't bother. Um, because it is heavy. But I also think at the same time we do need to be educated about this type of stuff. Anyway, oh, the next book I read, and I'm going, oh, for a very important reason, was The Light Years by Elizabeth Jane Howard. So this was a Christmas gift to me, the full set. I think it was a couple of years ago. I'd seen it again on BookTube where it was praised and praised and praised. So you Google the series and you look and you think that this is a really good writer. You see that it's a fantastic series, or it's a popular series, old-fashioned, cozy series. Um, so I said, I'd like this for Christmas. Got the full set. And I sat down to read this. And I've got to be honest, there's a lot of characters in here. There's a lot of things going on, different family dynamics. It's pre-Second World War, just after the First World War, and they're getting ready to go into World War Two. Um, I struggled on so many levels with this. I finished it, and I did actually start the second one, and I got about that much through the second book, and I DNF'd it. I just can't gel with this series. Um, I can't gel with the characters. I can't stand the characters. The writing is all over the place. My brain was just screaming out at the writing. Um, and again, like a lot of other books I've read recently, where you are reading a bit that is really interesting and really powerful, and all of a sudden, whoosh, they go off into something stupid. Like I always say like children. It's not stupid with children, but there's a lot of opinions of the children in this. But there's also some deep, dark, dangerous stuff with the adults, and you're reading deep, dark, dangerous stuff with the adult, like affairs and abuse and all. To say it's known as cozy, I will warn you now, this isn't cozy. I didn't find anything cozy about this, and I think that's problematic. The fact that they're actually claiming that this is a cozy read of yesteryear, I just found it difficult. I do read dark books. It's not that it's dark, it was just something about this book that just. And then the second book got me, but there is an abuse scene in this one between father and daughter, sexual abuse. And you're just not prepared for it. And when it comes, it's done in a. I understand that this abuse happens just like this, but it was done in a it's a book of its time. It's a book of its time where, put it this way, I was reading this book and I thought I could imagine this family 80 years from the World War all needing generational trauma healing because of the great grandparents or grandparents and the things that they did and didn't do. And just, I got to us, and also as I'm reading it, I mean, she does put, or the publishers have put, a list of characters at the beginning, family tree, and a list of characters at the beginning and families because it's one family but split off into three sons. And literally, I kept having to go back and go, who's Hugh Cazalet? Who's Edward Cazalet? Who's Rupert? Who's this one? Because it's three sons, three wives, their children, plus in-laws, plus staff. And I just felt there was no character building where you could have been reading about any son or any daughter-in-law. And I just got, it was exhausting. Apologies if people have read it and loved it, but I found it exhausting. And when they just plonked that abuse in, I don't know if it ever comes to light or what happens there or how it ends, but it just didn't gel with me. Um, so yeah, it's not a I class Downton Abbey as cozy. Um, all creatures great and small as cozy. That to me is not cozy. There was affairs in it. And again, I read books on affairs and child abuse and I mean for goodness sake, I read this, but there was something weird about it. There was something I didn't like. And I just didn't have the time for it. I do have an issue with a lot of the World War Two stuff and World War One stuff. And the Victorian stuff, like the classics. Some classics I love. Like, I mean, I'd class this was a classic. Yeah. The Bronte stuff I love. Um, Gone with the Wind I love, even though I know that people are saying that that's problematic, even though I think that's vital in our learning. But there are some of it I really find strange and I cannot gel with. It's like I'm a bit like that with Jane Austen. Whoa, anyone that loves Jane Austen. It's not that I find Jane Austen problematic. I just don't get it. My brain, and if I watch drama series like that, where it's all that twittering energy, and it just doesn't resonate with me. Anyway, so then we went on to another strange book, which was The Royal Insider, um, by Paul. In fact, I've got two books mixed up, but it doesn't matter. The Royal Insider by Paul Burrell. My Life with the Queen, the King, and Princess Diana. Again, I've done a reading vlog on here, so you can go and watch that for an in-depth review of it. It's a book and I've read it, a bit like this one. It's a book and I've read it. Um, it's just Paul being Paul. And I just left it when I mean I didn't leave it. I got to the end of it. I finished it, but when I just left it, I was just like, it's a book and I've read it. A lot of it is already out there. A lot of it is spoken about in podcasts and interviews and other books. Um, it was okay. Um, yeah, strange, but there you go. The book that I read before that, but I've got mixed up, was this one. This one is called, not was called, Catherine's House. And this is by Sarah Hogg. And it's based on Kettlethorpe Hall. I think I always get mixed up. Kettlethorpe Hall, which is in Lincolnshire, which is where Catherine Swynford lived. There's only the gatehouse, if you hold it up there, that's still standing from the old building. That's the manor house that's there, possibly built on top of the old, so it can tell some tales from the land there. And that's the only thing standing, unless there's things in the grounds. And basically, this book, I think the author is still alive and she still lives in that manor house. Um, it's basically the story of how that land was found by the Vikings, or maybe even before that, how it was named, and the different families that have lived there. It's fiction based on fact, so there's a lot of things that have made up and surmised, but I really enjoyed it. Some of it went over my head because obviously you go into different families and different dynamics. Some of the stories I gelled with, and some of the stories I didn't. Um, But because obviously I wasn't born in Lincolnshire, so I'm learning about Lincolnshire, it was really interesting. And it was really interesting to learn about um, Catherine's home. Obviously, she only got it when she married her first husband, to see the history of it and the fact and the power of it and the history of what came after it. I was disappointed because, according to the Catherine book, her first husband's family was there, and I would have liked to have had more on them. The book, when it gets to her, covers the later years of her life, whereas I would have liked more. I would have liked this book to have just been about Catherine Swinford, if I'm honest. But I do get why the author did what they did, and I think it's really fascinating because she tracks it right back to present day, all through the World Wars, all through the Victorian era, the Edwardian era, the different families, the falling outs. So yes, this is Catherine's House by Sarah Hogg. Okay. And then I read another book, of course, which was another, it's a book and I've read it. Look of the Titanic by Stacey Lee. Um, Obviously based on the Titanic. I had no emotional connection to the characters. Um, Young girl goes on there. Again, very strange plot, very weak plot, a plot that just doesn't make sense. Um, I think basically she was trying to copy Titanic the film, but she was a female Jack Dawson. I mean, there's a part in it that is very much like a part in. I mean, a lot of it's like Titanic. I was really disappointed with it. Um, a young woman somehow, she's a young Chinese woman, ends up on Titanic because her lady that she works with doesn't. I just couldn't get on with it. I couldn't understand the plot. It was all over the place. Um, it wanted to talk about the Titanic, but it was giving modern twists in, and again, you'd be reading a little bit about the Titanic, you'd be interested in it, and boom, and then she's off. She's off talking about something else. Didn't enjoy it. Um, didn't make sense. Left you feeling that. Left you feeling it's a book and I've read it, and that's all I've got to say about that. Um, yeah. I even wondered, I know I'm saying something that I could possibly get in trouble for here, but I even wondered if there was some AI involved in this book. I've said this before about modern day books. I'm seeing it, I'm not seeing it. I'm getting more of these feelings in modern day books where it's like, it's got a very strange element to it, where it feels kind of robotic and there's no, yeah, I wasn't keen on it. So the next book I read was Haggitude by Sharon Blackie. And I can honestly say I really enjoyed this. Obviously she's took what was it? Reimagining the second half of life. The second half of life for the female, the divine feminine women, perimenopause, menopause. She brings in mythology and all of the old folklore tales in it, talking about the hag and famous hags, folklores with hags in and what it is to be older and the things that start to come into your life as you transition into 40s and beyond. Um, I really enjoyed it and I think it's a really helpful book. And I think it's a book that is needed in this modern world where women are getting older, as they've always got older, but we're getting older in a world that doesn't like age, that wants to keep you young and vibrant and wants to keep you producing and being um, of benefit to society. When this is about going back to the old ways of stepping into your elder years without it being called I've said this, I think she talks about this as well. And it's the first time I've ever seen it spoken about, where she talks about the fact that the word elderly and the frequency of that compared to elder. And by treating women as elderly women, it's really demeaning them, where actually you're meant to be the hags of the family, where you're meant to bring forward all this wisdom and your grey hair and your lines and your stories and not be the elderly grandma that's shuffling about. It's just, yeah, I really enjoyed it. So, Haggitude by Sharon Blackie, reimagining the second half of life. And just look at that cover as well. Take a moment to love the cover. The final book I read, it has been quite a few, was Stop Letting Everything Affect You by Daniel Shidiak or Sidiak. So this actually came up on my Instagram. I never heard of him, never heard of it until it came up on Instagram and it just drew me in. It's only a short book. I enjoyed it, but I thought the author got angry as he went through it. And because of who I am as an energy healer, I really sensed an energy here of someone that had not really done, I don't know, needed to do more work or whatever. It was just as he starts the book, I was like, yeah, I really get this. And yeah, this makes sense. And yeah, yeah, yeah. And he just got angrier and angrier and angrier. And I think he got a little bit narcissistic. And I actually struggled to really gel with him and gel with the message. I've read it till the end, I finished it. I think it's important to read because I think, for although there was some strange energies in this, um, like, just walk away from what no longer very, you're seeing a lot of that in the well-being industry, and um, this walk away from what no longer serves you, where people can be so walk away that they can actually appear themselves quite narcissistic. I think there can be a fine line. Um, I enjoyed it. Many parts of it made sense. How to break free from overthinking, emotional chaos, and self-sabotage. Many parts of it made sense, especially in the beginning. But as he got through it, I was like, I could feel his own pain coming through it and his own anger coming through it. And it became more of a, you're telling me a lot here, but you're kind of not giving any steerage or guidance for going forward apart from whoosh, do you know what I mean? And I think life's more complicated than that and nuanced than that. Whew. So those are the books that I read in August and September. Have you read any of these? What did you think to any of them? Did you enjoy them, hate them, love them? Let's talk in the comments. Are you going to read any more of them now? What was your reading months like for August and September? Yes. So there is a playlist on here called BookTube where you can watch all the bookish content that we do on here. Yes, like, comment, share, and subscribe. And I will see you in the next one. Bye.